moving on to something that's a little bit more fun. We're going to be doing some coding. Have you guys ever done any coding before at all? So I've done a little bit, maybe a little bit in Scratch, something like that. Yeah, cool. Well, we're going to be doing a bit more of that and just kind of covering all the basic principles of coding. These are our course goals. We're going to realize that coding is not as intimidating as it seems. It can look really confusing, but once you figure out how it all works, it's actually quite straightforward. I want you guys to have a good understanding of what code is, how it's used, and why it's such a good skill to have. Understanding all those basic principles that can be applied to any programming language, and just being one step closer to having a career in coding. Careers in coding, there are so many job opportunities available in the tech field, in the coding field, and they're often really well paid as well. So it's a good skill to develop, not just for job opportunities, but it also kind of just helps you think in a new way, and just it's a great skill to have. So that's our goals for the course. This is how this course is structured. Just like the G Suite course, it's 6 weeks, 2 times a week, so it's 12 lessons. We're going to be doing 12 coding principles across those weeks. Some weeks we'll do more than one, some weeks we'll just look at one. We're going to be using Scratch and Python. Scratch is like a nice visual language. This little cat is kind of the logo of the Scratch language. And Python is a more written language. It looks more complicated, but again, hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have you already writing in Python. So that would be great. By the end of the course, you guys will create your own game, app, or interactive story. And so there'll be a final project that you'll be graded on. So rather than taking a test this time, we'll be working on a project each week that you'll have time to work on. Put all of your creative juices into that. And everyone can kind of do their own thing. There's just different requirements that you have to meet in order to get the certificate. Okay. So what do you think about when you think of coding? Throw some ideas out. If I just say the word coding to you, what's some things you relate to that?
Hacking.
Huh?
Hacking.
Hacking? Yep. Definitely, that is a career. That is a legitimate career path within the coding industry.
Legitimate?
There is illegitimate, obviously, and there's legitimate because people will literally pay you to hack into their systems to check whether they're secure or not. So there are professional hackers. That is a career. Any other thoughts? Nerds? Yep.
In their parents' basement.
Nerds in their parents' basements, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Think of movies, how movies portray coders. It's always like a big guy in a big armchair, just like got 9 screens and drinking pop. Yep, definitely. Any other thoughts? Numbers, yep. Yeah, maybe kind of something a little bit like this, like the Matrix, and just confusing hieroglyphs that don't make any sense at all. That's what I kind of felt when I looked at code for the first time, because it did not make sense at all. This is not real code. This was just from a movie. And obviously they deliberately made it look super complicated. Real code is less intimidating than that. And we'll kind of decode code so it makes a lot more sense. You might also think it's just for absolute geniuses, and that us mere mortals cannot code. That's not true. We're going to be starting from the very basics and moving up. And then we also have a course after this called Coding 2, where you can really delve deeper into like game design or app design or even web design. And then, as I was explaining last week, you can go even deeper than that. This one is just to learn all the basic principles so that you can then apply that to those different fields. You may also think that coding is just for a certain subset group of people. Unfortunately, in the coding world, in the coding career, a lot of the people that have those jobs look very like me, white and male. And at APS, one of the reasons why we exist is we want to change that. We want every demographic to be represented in that. At the moment, it's very disproportional, and we need the STEM field, the coding career field, to be more representative and more diverse. So this is not true. coding is not just for a subset, it's for everybody. Okay, so what actually is code? I've got a simple definition here. Code is a set of written instructions given to a computer. So it's just like you would read instructions on, like a mac and cheese packet or something like that. It's just step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is this. Except rather than the instructions being given to us as a human, it's being given to the computer. And the reason why we need to do this is because computers don't understand it when we talk to them. And I got a little video that kind of demonstrates, kind of just a little funny thing. This is a show called the IT Crowd or the It Crowd. It's a British show. Here's just a little clip.
So why did you come here in the first place? We set up a voice activation system on your computer. I think you're going to enjoy it. It might just take a little while to get the pitch right on the voice, but nonetheless, go ahead. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you. Exciting. Hello. Hello, computer. Hello. Hello. Hello, computer. Hello!
He reminded me of you. I don't know why.
What?
It's like when he's really calm.
That's offensive.
That's how I picture you talking to your electronics.
Okay. So computers don't speak English. I mean, they maybe through like Google Assistant and Siri, they simulate the fact that they're understanding us. But I can't just say hello to my computer and it responds to me without Google Assistant. Google Assistant really just messes up this analogy, so forget about the fact that we can speak to our phones and computers for now. They don't truly understand us. They only understand us because we programmed them to understand us. Because they speak this language. This is what we speak. Computers just speak in zeros and ones. This is called binary. And this isn't just any random set of zeros and ones. This is actually hello in binary. So in binary, you break up characters into 8 bits. This is a bit and this is a byte. If you've heard of gigabytes, megabytes, that's where this comes from, is storing just amounts of zeros and ones. It's called machine code, and so this is how the word hello is called. Now don't worry, we're not learning how to code in zeros and ones. In years previous, people did code in this way, and they had big chunky books that they would use to code 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, and stuff like that. But we're not going to be using that. We're going to be using a programming language called Scratch and Python. And they act as kind of like the middle person in the middle, so that we as humans, if we can speak Scratch or we can speak Python, then the computer can understand us. So that's what coding is, and that's what we're going to learn to do. We're going to basically be learning a new language. So I have a little activity for you guys that will hopefully demonstrate a bit. I'm just going to leave that there. How coding works. And rather than starting on the computer, we're going to start in real life. So as I said, coding is just a set of instructions. And I'm just going to switch for the benefit of, if anyone's watching this on YouTube, I'm just going to switch the camera to the other camera. Bear with. Look how high tech we are. Double cameras. What? Okay, cool. And then I'm going to zoom in down here. More than that. And then, oh, this is so cool, right? How high tech are we? G Suite, got nothing on. Harold has nothing on what we're doing right now. So, look at this. Look at this. So we're going to be making a jelly sandwich. So I've got all of the items here to make a jelly sandwich. And I want you guys to take it in turns, giving me instructions
to make my jelly sandwich. And while we do this, we'll learn a few things about coding that will be useful for us. And at the end, we'll have a nice jelly sandwich, hopefully, if you code me as the computer correctly. Now, just as was demonstrated by that video just now, computers are dumb. They don't really understand. They will literally do anything that you tell them to do, as long as they understand it. And so, treat me as if I'm really dumb, okay? I want you to just give me really simple, basic instructions on how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I, as a computer, know how to pick things up. I know how to kind of like tighten my grip and turn and things like that, but not much else. You can't just tell me to make the sandwich and I do it, because I don't know how to do that. It needs to be broken down. Okay? So, we will start with Silali. Can you give me my first instruction? And we'll just go this way until we have, hopefully, you guys can pass the test, a jelly sandwich.
Open the bag of the bread.
Open the bag of bread. Okay. Cool? These are gone. These have died. Okay, cool. The bag of bread is open. Alright, we're going to go to Angel now. Next instruction.
Get any of the bread inside of the two outer.
Yep, what is it? What is it? What is it? What do you mean by
Get 2 slices of bread.
what do you mean get?
Put 2 slices of bread on the plate.
So you can control my hands and my arms, but I don't know what like put and get means.
Grab 2 pieces of bread.
Okay, grab, okay. Grab 2 pieces, right?
Then move them to the plate.
Move them to the plate.
While holding onto the bag.
Okay, it's out. Let's continue.
Take the bread, get the bread out of the bag,
Okay.
put it on the plate, fix it,
Okay?
put it side to side,
Side to side. I don't know what that means.
put one back.
Put one back in the bag.
Only one.
So maybe I could just let go right now.
Let go of it.
Okay. Okay.
Grab one
It's kind of central in the plate. Grab one.
and put it back in the bag.
Why?
So you can put jelly on the bread.
Oh, she's thinking ahead. All right, let's move over to Lily. Our knife is on the floor, by the way. Pick up knife. Okay. Go. Put it on the table. Okay, I don't know how to open a jar. You need to be more specific than that. The lid. Okay. Okay. Another. Okay. Putting them to the right. That's what I'm doing right now. It's only tightening it. To the left. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. I twisted it. Great. Table. Grab the knife. All right, let's go over to Silali.
Put your hand on. Wait, no. Put the knife on. Oh, wait. Hold the knife on the bottom of it.
Hold the knife on the bottom.
There you go. No. Better though. Like
Better?
more fingers.
Small fingers. Okay. These fingers? Alright. Okay, this is very fingers.
Put the
All my fingers on it.
knife inside the jelly.
Oh, put inside the jelly? Okay.
Try to like scoop the jelly inside.
Don't get it
Okay.
Put it on the piece of bread that's on the plate.
Put what on it?
The jelly.
The jelly, okay.
You missed.
Spread the jelly on the bread. Oh, wait, you can let go of it. Put the jar on the table.
I can let go of it.
Put the jar on the table.
Put it down. Okay.
Okay.
Will I continue spreading?
Yeah, put better.
What do you mean by better? What does better mean?
Just do it better, Andy.
I'm a stupid computer. I don't know what better means. Define better. Well, how could I improve my technique right now?
Hold the plate.
Hold the plate, okay. That's good. That helps. Okay. Excellent. All right. We're getting there. All right, Angel. Let's finish this thing.
Oh, you're
Nobody
missing
told
an
you to stop
ingredient.
smearing.
Huh?
Nobody told you
Oh
to
yeah.
stop
I'll just
You can stop doing that now.
Stop. Okay.
Grab the other bread he grabbed
Yeah,
earlier.
the other bread.
Let go of the knife.
Oh.
Gently.
Gently.
Grab the bread.
Got the bread.
One. You slice
One.
it.
Okay.
Hold it straight. With both hands.
Hold it straight.
There you go. That's what this is like.
Under the knife.
Now, put it facing down. Oh my god. Put it back. Oh. No. Control Z. Control Z again.
Okay.
Tilt it forward. Now put it down on the bread. Evenly.
Oh, evenly.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Give it a
Fantastic,
little pat.
guys. Huh?
Give it a little pat. Okay, there you go. And you have sandwich.
Excellent. Excellent. And because I don't know what, this fell on the floor, I'm not going to eat this. Yes, I will not have you eat it as well. But we did it. Look at that. Beautiful jelly sandwich. We got there. So that demonstrates kind of what coding is like. Coding doesn't always work in the way that we want it to. The computer will literally do what we tell it to, even if what we tell it to do is not really the right thing. And so when we code, it can be a bit frustrating. We can get bugs and things go wrong and things aren't working in the way that we meant to. Thanks, Kelsey. But that's okay. That's all part of the process. Alrighty. I've got jelly all over my hand. But hopefully, at the end of it, we'll end up with something beautiful. Oh my god. Inception. Okay, let's undo this. Switch back to this camera.
Can you hand me the light? Behind the tree. Everything's sticky.
Yep. Oh gosh, that was fun. So no, you guys just coded. Okay, you just coded me. And now we're going to code a computer. So, if you guys are all logged in, I need you to open up Chrome, and I need you to come to this website. It's called Scratch. Scratch.mit.edu. So let me just zoom in up here. This is the web address. I'm going to come here. Now, if you already have a Scratch account, you can just sign in using that account. And if you don't, you can create a new one. Come over to scratch.mit.edu. Yes, I do. Yes, join. If you don't already have an account that you know the password to, which is more the issue really, yeah, then join Scratch.
What do I put as the user?
As the username, you can do what you want. So just something that you remember. The username and password should be something that you remember. And with this, I would even encourage you to put, because we're gonna move over to using your personal account soon instead of the APS accounts with the long passwords. If it ever tells you to type in an email or a phone number, just use your personal email that you have. Okay?
Can you help me with the password to log in?
Oh, you as in?
It logged me out of the.
Oh yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It just turns off. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and we're at scratch.mit.edu.
making an account?
Hmm?
For making an account?
Make an account, yeah. If you need if you need help making an account, I can help. I'm just gonna make a note for our video to stop. I'll pause the video there, and then I'll clap again when we're ready to go. So let me know when you've made, just classic, stick your hand in the air once you've made your account.
Shut my room. No one shut up.
I'm sorry. So sad.
They didn't tell them that it was starting today.
Okay. Do you need some
Do
help?
we use our personal
No,
email?
do you have a personal email address, like a Gmail?
No.
You don't? Okay, then just use the APS one. Yeah.
There's no bike in this picture.
What?
It's telling if I'm a robot and there's no bike in the
Oh,
picture.
right, yes. I hate those things. I'm kind of makes me think I am a robot, and maybe I'm just not aware of it. Maybe you're a robot, Sylvie. Maybe you are.
So it's just a picture of a skeleton.
And is there a picture
I put
of the bike?
What's wrong?
Click the box with the bike, and then it's a picture of a skeleton. That doesn't make any sense. It's like they're trying to trick us.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fine. I will see you at home.
So I'll join the meeting at 7:30. Just join whenever.
Okay.
Either
All
way,
right.
I'm
Okay.
not
So
on
yeah, I'll just come home
You
as
can
well.
join separate if you need to,
Okay. All right. See ya.
Bye.
No. Only got an email.
You might have to verify your account.
What?
I don't know. You might have to. You're just saying you got an email, as in like, welcome to Scratch.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't forget your username and password. That's really important because, if you're making your project in this, then you don't want to lose that. Obviously, if you can remember. You can have the password get sent to you, but it's best that we just remember it. So maybe make a note of it, either in your mind or on your phone. All right. How's it going, Itzel? Are you typing in the email address? Okay. And so when you've done that, I'm going to have you come and click Create. Let me just clap again. Okay. I'm going to have you come and click Create in the top left. And you need your name at this front there. Let me help you with that. I-Tina.UPS3Institute.email.com. Is that right? Brilliant. Crosswalks. Yeah. Click once. Click verify once. Yeah, I know that. You see any more crosswalks? Verify. Now logged in. Let's start it. Great. Okay, so click and create. Amazing. All right. So we're going to do a little tour of Scratch. On the left-hand side here, we have our block palette. This kind of bar at the side. This is where all of our coding blocks are. As I said, Scratch is very visual, and so you're going to just drag and drop these coding blocks into this large white space, and they all fit together like puzzle pieces. And they kind of just like snap to each other when they're in the area, and you can kind of let go and put them together. Once they're together, they if you select it from the top one, then they kind of move as one thing. It becomes one item of code. But these are kind of two separate lines of code. Okay. There's different types of coding that we can do. We can code motion into our app, make things move. We can change the looks of it. We can change sound. We'll go into a bit more about events and controls and all this good stuff later in the course. But yeah, this is where all the code is, essentially. We also, over here on the left, have costumes. So when you have a character, by default, you have Scratchy, the cat, and he has different costumes. So when you click on costumes, let me make it a bit more obvious where my cursor is. I can kind of go between the costumes on the left side here. And when you look on, this area is called the stage. It kind of looks like he's walking. So that's what costumes are for, is to animate your characters, to make them look like they're doing things like jumping and walking and stuff like that. So if you make your project in Scratch, your project is going to be very visual. When we go to Python, it's going to be more word-based. So it's up to your preference, really. So we're going to come back to where it says code. I should say there is also the sound section. If and when you want to add sounds to your project, you can click this little plus button down here, and it has a big library of sound effects that you can add to your project. We won't do that today. And so we're going to just do a really simple thing today. Is we're just going to make our Scratchy Cat talk, and beyond that, we may also make him have a conversation with someone else. So I want you all to just drag your cat to the bottom of the stage by clicking and dragging him. You'll notice underneath there's different properties for the cat. You have his name, so you can name your cat if you want to. I'm going to call my cat Cat. You can change its X and Y position coordinates over here. You'll notice that when I move the cat around, the X and Y coordinates change depending on where it is. So you should, if you're not familiar already, you'll get quite familiar with X and Y coordinates and how they work. X refers to the horizontal plane, going kind of left and right, make your character go left and right. Y is vertical to make your character go up and down. Okay? And the number just depends on like where they are on that plane. And so if they're at minus 157 on the horizontal plane, they're far to the left. If they're positive number, then they're coming right. And again, if they're positive Y, then they're up. If they're minus Y, then they're down. Because our Scratchy Cat is at the bottom of our stage, we have minus 128, and because he's on the left-hand side, we have minus 182. If we were to put the cat in the top right, these numbers would go positive. Okay, so that's a bit about positioning. We also have rotation, so in direction of the direction that our sprite is facing. So if you click in direction, and you guys are welcome to do this along with me. You can change the direction that your sprite is looking. So sprite is what they basically refer to as a character. They don't necessarily call them characters because you can also have like rocks or trees, and they're not necessarily a character, just an object. So they call them sprites. This just refers to a thing. And so we can change the rotation by either typing a number, or we can move it around like this. If you want to make a cartwheeling cat, you can do that. If you want your character to move left and right instead of rotate, then you click this little button here, and it changes the direction or the rotation style. And so now, when I click left and right, and I change, as long as I'm pointing right, the cat will point right. If I come over here and start pointing left, the cat will turn around and point the other way. Okay, so this is particularly good if you're making like a platform game like Super Mario or something like that, where you're jumping between different platforms. And if you're going left, then you want the character to face left. If you're going right, then right. Okay. And then this just turns rotation style off. I've never used this, so it just depends what you need. So I'm just going to set it as left and right, and leave it as that. I can also hide the sprite and display it as well. If they're not needed in a scene, that particular scene or that particular level, you can hide them. So that is how we kind of change the properties. Oh, and then size as well. So you can make like a really tiny cat, or a really big cat. All good. So I'm just gonna, you guys can mess around with that if you want. That is our stage and our sprite. To add a new sprite, we click on this button in the bottom left, and if you just hover over it, like I'm looking at the button, you just click this button here, you can either search for a sprite that they've made, or you can actually draw your own characters yourself. Or you can surprise me, so it just chooses a random character, or you can upload a sprite that you've drawn in another program. So if you're particularly talented in drawing and you use Photoshop or Illustrator or something like that, then you can upload your own sprites from your computer. So I'm just going to have you click the Choose a Sprite button, and we'll see what kind of sprites they have for our thing today. You can use the search bar in the top left here if you're wanting to find a particular sprite, and then they also categorize the sprites at the top. So if I'm looking for a particular thing, particular character, so maybe I want to make my my cat have a conversation with something else. So I'll go into animals. So I want you all to add another sprite to your stage. So come to add a sprite and then choose another sprite. I'm going to choose a dinosaur, because why not? And I'm going to rotate my dinosaur so that it's looking at the cat. Oops. Okay, so hopefully when you finish and chosen, you should have two sprites, and if you could rotate them to look at each other. You might have to change the rotation style again to left and right so they don't just flip upside down. How's it going? Good? Ready to move on? Yeah? Alright, so let's add a backdrop. So in the bottom right here, just like we can add a sprite, we can also add a backdrop. And as I said, just like with a sprite, you can search for an existing backdrop, or you can draw your own backdrop. So this is particularly helpful if you're making a game and you want the background to look in a particular way. You can make your own. Or again, you can upload it from the computer. So I'm going to choose a background, choose a backdrop for your stage. I just choose the first one. Cat and a dinosaur in the Arctic. And you kind of just place your things in the scene. The dinosaur's looking a bit too small. Oops. Oops. So you do have to have the correct sprite selected in the bottom in order to change that sprite's properties. Otherwise, you'll change the wrong properties, which is why I just made my cat massive and my dinosaur tiny, but I corrected that. All right, so once you have your scene set up how you like it, we're actually going to do some coding. And we're going to come over to the looks palette or code block palette. You're going to click on looks. Make sure one of your sprites is selected. And we're going to drag the first block, the say hello block, for 2 seconds. And we're just going to drag it into the white space. This is called our script. You could think of it as like a script in like a, like a movie or a show or something like that. But it's also another way of describing a list of code. Sometimes we call it a script, like an app script, you might have heard. There's other names for code. There's an algorithm. There's lots of ways that you can call it, but it's all referring to the same thing. Okay, but I want you to click in looks, and then drag that first purple block over. All of the blocks are color coded, so all of the things that change the look of your game or app or story is purple. Everything moves things around are blue, so on and so forth. So has everybody got the say hello block? Yep. So in looks, just here on the left. And it's the first one. And if you click on that code block, the code will run. So my cat says hello for 2 seconds, and then he stops speaking. And you can see nice little speech bubble in the code. I can change how long he says it for. If I want him to say it for 5 seconds, I can change how many seconds he says it over here. Change this. I can change what he says. Woo. Okay. And when I click on the code, it says what I want him to say. If we want to add more conversation or more words, you could just drag another block underneath. And again, you can choose what you want it to say. Please be creative. Come up with your own unique ideas. What you want your little conversation to go like. Yeah. And I can run my whole code block by clicking that, and it runs the code one after the other. It says, oh my gosh, a massive dinosaur, please don't eat me. So because I'm selected in the cat sprite down here on the right, I'm coding what the cat is saying. If I wanted to code the dinosaur to say something, I would click in the other sprite, and you see then that the code script is blank, because I haven't coded the dinosaur to do anything yet. And so I can put some fresh code in there. And so we're just going to create like a little simple two-way conversation between our two sprites. So in order to do that, because we can't just, we could do it manually by clicking here and then going over there and clicking there, but we kind of want it to just run itself. So the way that we do that is we have lots of options on the left-hand side called events. This is basically when the code will run. And so if you think of when I was making the jelly sandwich, the code ran as soon as you guys started giving me instructions. And we just went kind of first instruction to second instruction. And that's exactly what's happening here. Except it's running when I click on it, and it's doing the first instruction first, and then it's doing the second instruction. And so from events, you're going to grab the when green flag clicked event. You'll notice these ones are a little bit different. They have like the rounded top to them. That means that nothing can be put before it, because this is generally like the start of a line of code. Just like when I told you to start giving me instructions, There was no steps before that. That was the first step. So you can't put anything before that. Okay, so you should just have a when green flag clicked and attach that to your code, and it should be 2 lines of code. The green flag is referring to this little green flag up here on the right. So when I click this green flag, now rather than having to click the code, that's when my code runs. So when the green flag clicks, say, oh my gosh, a massive dinosaur for 5 seconds, and then say, please don't eat me for 3 seconds. If I wanted to, I could change the event to when this sprite clicked, or when this character is clicked. This character refers to this cat, and so rather than pressing the green flag, which I disconnected, so now nothing happens, but I changed it to when this sprite clicks, so if I click the cat, then he runs the code. So that's what events are, and you'll see there's all sorts of things you can do. So when the backdrop switches, when loudness changes, when I receive a particular message, there's all sorts of events that can cause code to run. But for now, we'll just stick with the when green flag clicked event. Once you've done that, I want you to come over to your other sprite and then have that sprite, the second sprite, respond to the first sprite in conversation.
How do you make the old sprite? How do you make the old?
You click in the plus button in the bottom right, and you click add a sprite, and then you choose a new sprite. Yeah, so just down here, click that button, and it will open up this page. And then I went to animals, and I just chose dinosaur, and it added the dinosaur. Okay. And I made them look at each other. I changed the size of my dinosaur, so it was kind of more realistic. I still think that's probably too small. Maybe I'll make my cat a bit smaller. That's better. Okay, I want you to come over to your second sprite's code, and we're going to code a response. So just like the first one, we'll drag a when green flag clicked event. Angel's just laughing away to himself. And we're going to code a response. So you could just, if you're just doing it really simply, you could just be like, hello, how are you? I'm good, how are you? Or, you could do something different like me. So in that new code, for the new sprite, you're going to drag a when green flag clicked, and then another, and then their response. And then write your response. And how long you want it to say it for. Okay, so have the first sprite say 2 things, and then the next sprite say 1 thing. And it's all happening on the when green flag clicked event. They're both happening. So this is my cat code. This is my dinosaur code. Is everyone kind of keeping up? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So the trouble with this is, unlike a normal conversation where you take it in turns, because both of this code is started when the green flag clicked, they both talk at once. And that's not very natural. So I'm just going to stop the code from running by clicking the stop button. And what I want to do is come over to my cat and see how long it takes him to say what he needs to say. And here he just says the first thing for 5 seconds and the next thing for 3 seconds. So he speaks for 8 seconds. So I want my dinosaur to wait 8 seconds before he speaks. And so, amazingly, we are going to be using a wait block, or the wait block. That's over here on the left in controls. It's in the orange, or kind of darker orange. Click on that. And then the first block in the control blocks is the wait block. and you're going to drag a wait block into your code. You can just put it in the blank space for now. And this is of your second sprite. So this is my dinosaur who's talking second. So I want him to wait to start speaking. Again, that's in the control on the left-hand side. The orange blocks. And because code runs from top to bottom, I want the first thing is going to be when the green flag clicked. The next thing I want the dinosaur to do is wait till the cat is finished speaking. And so I'm going to drag the wait block to the kind of the second position, and you can see what happens is that nicely the code rearranges itself to fit that wait block in between, and then that goes before the say block. And I want my dinosaur to wait for 8 seconds, or maybe 8.5, so there's a bit of a pause, because he's a polite dinosaur. Waits to make sure that the cat's finished saying everything he wants to say. So now when I click the green flag, and you should click the green flag, run your code regularly, because if you do all of your code before you actually run it, then you might find a bug in the code, something might go wrong, just like it often did in our jelly sandwich analogy. And so you want to regularly check whether your code is working. So regularly click that green flag or whatever it is that starts your code going, just to make sure that it's working. So let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm a dinosaur. Saying that for a very long time. Oh, please don't eat me. Screen's going crazy, and it says I'm definitely going to eat you. Okay, so it's working well. They're having a conversation with each other. How's it going for you guys? Is your code working? Are they having a conversation with each other? Yeah? Okay. And so because the dinosaur speaks for 5 seconds, we could come back to our first sprite and make him wait 5 seconds or 5.5 seconds. And because I made him speak after 8.5 seconds, I need to add another 0.5. So I'm going to have him wait 6 seconds. And then he can respond. And you can add another save block. And we've kind of made a simple conversation between our two characters. Maybe I'll just do like a Darth Vader style. Cool. Let's see if that works. Oh my gosh, massive dinosaur. Please don't eat me. I'm definitely going to eat you. Man. No. Cool. Alright. Who's feeling brave? I want to see what you've made. Feel free to cast to the screen. Angel, you're going to go first because you've been laughing so much.
I didn't finish it though.
Has anyone finished? Okay, we'll wait. Wait, you finished it, so? Okay. Cast to the screen. And what I'm going to do so that everybody on the video can see you is zoom in here. Turn my laptop to the screen. Oops. And we get that screen section thing going on. There we go. We can see your project now. Oh, can you pick up that webcam, please, Angel? That would be awesome. Okay, so we have a rooster and a cat in space. I like it. It says, what a small cat. You are a super cute cat. Did I miss something? Oh, I'm not that small. Yeah. I like it. That's great. What in itself? Okay, Angel.
Not yet.
No, yeah, still perfecting it. Say Lily.
Wait.
Okay, Lily. Cross the screen. Okay, great. Cat and a mouse, classic. In a bedroom. What are you doing here? I was hungry. People here don't like mice. It's true. People don't like mice. And then you get a little cute mouse thing. Cool. I like it. I like it. Alright, Angel. Keep going. No? Okay.
Almost done.
We don't have all day. So, Lally, are you ready to share?
Oh,
We're definitely the most responsible one. This is clear.
no. Okay.
Alright.
What else to do?
Cast to the screen. I changed the name of it, so it makes more sense. Exactly. Okay, great. Mr. Duckman, how are you today? I'm great, how are you? Well, bye. Okay, cool, great. I like it. I thought it was going to go in like a why did the chicken or why did the duck cross the road kind of thing, but don't click shut down. Alright, great. Alright, Angel, this is your time. Ready or not?
I didn't think of the thingy. No.
Just click in the white space here. And it'll get rid of it. Oh, okay.
What's going too bad?
Never mind, this will keep going. Can't
Let's
read
do it
it
again.
fast enough. Whenever it jumps higher than yours, never mind, that's fool. Seafood. Oh my goodness gracious. So you've added extra sprites on top of your cats to make it look like they're riding lowriders. I like it. I like it. That's awesome. Lily, did you want to share? Did you already share yours? I can't remember. You did. Okay, great. Yeah, because yours was the cat and the mouse. Amazing. Okay. Let me just come back over.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's pretty cool. A scorpion, right? That is cool. All right. Cool. Back to my boring dinosaur one. Okay, so that is how you code kind of that output in Scratch. We're now going to move over to Python and learn how to do the same thing, but in Python. So you'll need to come to repl.it. It's a website, and that's the name of the website. You don't need that little curly thing on the end. Yes, you will actually need to create an account. In fact, you may have this as a bookmark at the top of Chrome.
Yeah.
So you don't have to type that in. Just click on that repl.it. And then, yes, you should sign in with your account. I did find Sitlali, I must apologize. One of the students in the previous class, I believe, has either accidentally or maliciously been using your account instead of her account because I think she got locked out of hers and she didn't want to say. And so you may already have some files in there.
Yeah.
But,
I
okay.
wished it.
Okay, sorry about that. But it shouldn't be anything sensitive, so it's okay. So yeah, come over to Replit. And yeah, you guys might have to like join Replit. Replit is similar to Scratch, but it's used to write other languages that are actually used in very popular programs, websites that you probably use every day. And so, just gonna clap again, and then I can get out you guys. So you can use your Google accounts. You can either use your personal Google accounts to create. Okay, great, your review. Fantastic. It may take you through a little questionnaire thing. It's like, why do you want to code and all that kind of stuff. Great. Username must be 2 and 15 characters. Okay, so just click on the green Google thing. And then choose your name. So you can just sign up with the Google.
This is invalid password.
Because you're not creating an account, you're trying to sign in right now, but you don't have an account, so you need to click sign up. Yeah. And then, use that. First, set your username. Okay. Yeah, you can use that name. Click next. Or if you don't want to use your real name, you can put your own username. So yeah, it might ask you like what your username should be. Oh yeah, because this is a username, there can't be any spaces or anything, you might want to make it unique. Okay, great, you've already got. So it's going to ask you some questions. Once you're in. Great. Wow, so you set your username as Sitlally, and there's no one else in the whole world that has that username. Does that happen often to you?
Sometimes. Well,
Quite a unique name. You could just probably get sitlally@gmail.com as your email address.
actually, it's my first name and last name, and then
That's what your email address is? I know, but like if not many people have it, like you can get sitlally.com.
probably, yeah. It's just like sometimes, like when you put numbers,
Uh-huh.
it says somebody else has it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yes.
What does it mean by what's your skill?
What's your skill level? So like have you coded before or no? Have you? So you could just say like just poking around, like
You just did. We just did go, didn't we?
yeah, we did. It doesn't really matter, it's just kind of a survey. And then once you've done that, we can give you a tour, just like we did in Scratch, give you a tour of Python.
Does it really matter what you put?
No, it doesn't. It's just for their information, really not that important. So just click through as quick as you can. Okay, so let me know when you're at this screen. Are you there, Sitlally? You might have to like click on like, the menu or something like that. It might look different the first time. Are you in yet, Lily? Yeah, you're at the screen, similar screen. Does it ask you like what languages you're interested in?
Yeah.
And did you just click through? Okay.
Just click through random ones.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. It is good. I just remembered to like select one of those languages being Python.
Mm-hmm.
So if it asks you itself what languages are you interested in learning, choose Python as one of them. But then you can just choose a bunch of other random ones. We're learning Python. Okay, once you get here, I want you to click plus new REPL at the top left. This blue button. It's going to bring up this screen. And where you can choose what coding language you want to write in. And so different coding languages look differently. So Scratch was one that looks like, with all the blocks, it's very graphical. Python, you'll see what that looks like. And then all the other coding languages look even more different. Most coding languages are word-based, and they're just line after line of words, but they just kind of function a little bit differently. So we're going to click Python as our language.
What do you put here?
It's in the top left if you're on that.
I'm still on the other part. This is very nice. Very nice. Include yourself into the community. What I put here.
I don't think you need to do that.
Just put the new rep one. That's what I did.
Yeah, just click new REPL. Just ignore that.
Can you restart over again?
Email for you. Let's go down to the bottom. That's all good. Just click new REPL. Great. Okay, so yeah, everyone just click new REPL. Select Python. It may already automatically be selected. And then you can type in as the name for your project. So we'll just call it like conversation test1 or something like that. Or you can just type your name, or you can just leave it as the random 3 words that it chooses. And you're going to click Create REPL at the bottom. And then it will transport you to a new screen. I should have said, actually, in Scratch, you can name your project as well up here at the top. Can't type. Anyway, that's where you do that. And then it may prompt you to save the project, or it might auto-save. If you need to save, it would be a button over here on the right. And then you can, this is kind of your files, or like your stuff. It's called My Stuff. So I click there, and I can see all of the different programs or apps and games that I've made in Scratch. So yeah, here's Scratch Conversation. Here's the platform that I was making with the last class. We'll get onto making platform games in the Coding 2 course. Or you know, if you know how to do it, then you can do it in this one. But yeah, we're doing Scratch Conversation. So that's how you do that. Anyway, back to a REPL. We've got 15 minutes left. So I want you guys, I told you guys that you would be coding in Python by the end of today. And so that's the goal. Quick tour. On the left-hand side here, we have got our files. And so just like we had the My Stuff that I just showed you in Scratch, where all of your files are. This is not necessarily all of the different projects you've made, but this will be all the files that are relevant to this project. And so sometimes we might use text files that you draw information from, or spreadsheets that you're drawing information from, and that will influence what your code looks like over here. But most likely we'll just stick with this one file called main.py, and that is the file that we're writing in. .py just means it's a Python file, just like you have .jpeg, or, you know, I can't think of one off the top of my head now, .word or something like that for different file types. .py is a Python file. This is our script area, just like we dragged blocks into our script area in Scratch. This is our white blank page, but instead of dragging things, we're going to write the code ourselves. There is a disadvantage to that, because that's when bugs start happening. If you make a typo or you type something in the wrong order, that's where code gets a bit buggy, and kind of where we start throwing our jelly sandwiches on the floor and that kind of stuff. And that's okay. That is all part of the process. And so this one's a little bit trickier to do, but yeah, do not be discouraged. This over here is kind of like our Scratch stage. This is where when we run, just like our green flag, we have a run button at the top. This is where our code will run. Okay? But it's going to be less visual. It's going to be more just lines of text. But we can still do some fun things in it, as you'll see in a moment. And so rather than using the say block, Python has a different way of doing it. And so I want you to come to this white area in the middle. And if you prefer, what you can do, you can click on the settings cog on the left-hand side. And you can change it, instead of side by side, you can change it to stacked. And if it just makes more sense to you, you can do that. But it doesn't really make a difference. It's just, and you can also like change it to dark mode. If you're coding at night in bed because you're that cool. You can change the font size, all that good stuff. I'm just going to keep it as white and side by side. Don't worry too much about these for now. I'm just going to stay in files. And we're going to code our first line of code. So I want you to all come to the script area in line 1 and click in line 1. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So the cursor is flashing there. And you're going to type the word print. Okay. So print is kind of like the say of Scratch, except rather than saying say, in Python you say print. Okay, and it prints words to the console, to that black area on the right-hand side. Now, again, we don't have those nice little square circles that we can just type information in. We have to make them ourselves. So after you type the word print, and you'll notice it's gone purple. Well, if you backspace 1, you'll notice the text is black. because print doesn't mean anything to Python. But as soon as you type the word print, it's like, I know what print means. It means something. Although I don't know why I didn't type. There we go. It means something. I know what print means, and I know I'm going to make it purple. So just like the code blocks in Scratch were color coded, the blocks or words get color coded when you type them in. The next thing you're going to type is a curly bracket or parenthesis, whatever you call it. So you're going to hold Shift, and let me put my keystrokes on. I'm zoomed in, so you're not really going to see them. Woo. But yeah, you're going to hold Shift and press 9, the number 9, to get a bracket. I think, is it 9 on your screen where the bracket is? Yep. And you just need to do an opening bracket, so one that's kind of this way, and you'll notice that it automatically puts in the other bracket for you. Now this should look kind of familiar to you guys, like what we were doing in G Suite and spreadsheets. We were using the sum function and the average function. We typed average and then we did open bracket. Just the same. This even is called a function, just like in Sheets. They have functions, and that is a piece of code that takes the information and does something with it. It has a function. This is the print function. Just like in Scratch, there's the block or the save function, so they call it blocks. Okay. Next thing we need is speech marks. So yeah, you need like little quotation marks, speech marks. So I'm going to hold Shift and press apostrophe to get our speech marks. And again, it makes 2 sets for me, but it keeps the cursor in the middle. That's just a handy feature that Replit has. And now we can put the same. You could just apply the same code from Scratch project if you want, or you can make a new one and just type in between these two things, and we're going to make our project say something. I'm just doing this because traditionally, if you ever take a coding course, the first thing they teach you to do is to say hello, just like if you're learning a language. They teach you to say how to say hello world in that language, and this is how we say hello world in Python. Oh my gosh. And so we should have print hello world. And that's it. That's our first line of code. And so now we're going to click run in the top. And it's not as fun as Scratch, but you see our code is working correctly, and the computer has understood what we wanted it to do, and has outputted the words hello world. Amazing. We all can code in Python. So we have 8 minutes left. So let's make this as much like our Scratch program as we can. So we're going to make it say hello world. And then because code goes from left to right and top to bottom, like step 1, step 2, we're going to hit enter, go down to our next line of code. And I'm going to say print again. And just like when in Sheets you type a function and you hit the bracket, it gives us this little helpful thing, although it doesn't look very helpful because it's a bunch of jargon that we don't understand yet. Of how that function works, but this is basically the equivalent. And so we're going to put speech marks in, and we'll just say whatever you want. Just doing a simple conversation on mine. Print hello world, print how are you. Okay, and then when we run this code, it now says hello world, how are you? Or just have it say hello, how are you? Get rid of the world part. Okay, hit run again, and as you see, when you change what's in, the output changes as well. You can say hello, how are you? Now, what you may notice is that the code runs all at once, and rather than saying hello for a few seconds and then how are you for a few seconds, it just goes all at once. And if you added extra lines of code, so I'm just going to copy and paste this code over and over again. Code runs so quickly that you don't even notice. I don't know why it's not working. Like a computer can run like millions of lines of code per second, and so we don't even see it running one after the other. It just runs it immediately. But it is technically going through each of those lines of code. It's just doing it super quickly and then outputting it to the screen. Okay, so you don't have to do that. It's just a demonstration. If we want to add a pause to make the conversation seem a bit more natural, and this is going on to more advanced stuff, so you can call yourself coders already. You're gonna go to your first line of code and hit enter or return 2 times to make it go down. Blank space, the computer will just ignore. So at the moment, if I click run, the program would run in exactly the same way as before. So I click run, and it just says, hello, how are you? It just ignores that blank space. Okay, but in the first line, I want you to write the word import. Import. And just like with print, my keyboard is, oh, there we go. It changes color because it knows what you mean. It knows you're about to import something. So with Python, it doesn't necessarily come already with all of the functionality built in that we want for that program. There's a reason for that, because it wants to make the code as light as possible, the program as light as possible, and meaning like keeping the file size small. If you add things or import things into your program, it makes that file size a little bit bigger and makes everything run a little bit more slowly. And so rather than putting every single possible thing you might want to do into Python, we have to import different kind of functionality. And we're going to import a function called time. So you're going to import space and then time, because we are going to mess around with time. So in line 1, just type import space time. If you don't write the space, you'll notice that it's like, oh, what do you mean? I don't know what that means. But you have the space, it knows what both of those mean. You have a question, Essel? Yes, so you're going to click on line 1 on the left, and then you're going to click enter or return. This button is, sorry, this button on your screen, and it makes it go down. You get it? You go down. So you're going to come to the left of where it says print, and then hit enter, enter.
Yeah,
Did it work? Yep, and then in line 1, you're going to type import time. Next thing I want you guys to do is click at the end of line 3, and then hit enter again. And now we're going to add that for certain amount of seconds code. That isn't not the number 4, like say something for X number of seconds. To do that, we're going to type the word sleep. Sleep. In fact, is that right? Maybe it's time. I apologize. We're not writing sleep, we're writing the word time. So backspace, backspace, backspace. And write the word time. Then you're going to do a period. And so we imported the functionality of time, but time has a lot of different functions within it. And the function we want to use is kind of like the wait function in Scratch. We're going to use the sleep, but it's called sleep. So type time.sleep. And then you already notice it's kind of telling us how this code is going to work. So we're going to add an open parentheses again. And then in the middle of that, we're going to type a number of seconds. And so if we want to say hello for 2 seconds, it's going to type the number 2. Okay. You there, itself? Fantastic. Oop, keep getting this wrong. I've got 2 different ways to zoom. Now, when we click run, rather than just saying, hello, how are you, if I did it all correctly, it says, hello, how are you? And there's a pause. And you can obviously change that pause if you want it to be longer. And it makes that conversation a bit more natural. You got an error? What kind of error did you get? Is it come all pink? Here? Okay, that's right. We have 1 minute to solve your error. Cast to the screen and we'll figure it out. This is all part of it. And in this, we'll have a lot more screencast time because it's going to be beneficial to the whole class. Bugs are so common. Okay, so you've got a syntax error. Syntax just is basically like a typo. Syntax just means how you wrote it. And it says invalid syntax, and it's pointing at it says it's on line 1, and so the error is on line 1 of your code. And it's pointing at the letter I, or around that area that you have an error in your code. Can anyone see what the error is in Angel's code?
The bracket that you have.
Yes, you have a square bracket before import time. So if you just click before import, delete that, and then hit run. Okay, now we have a different kind of error. This, instead of a syntax error, is an indentation error. Okay, indentation means you've kind of indented or brought over some of your code by accidentally hitting the tab button. So you're going to click on the left-hand side here. In fact, this is really useful, so I should have everybody seeing online as well. Sorry, I'm not trying to. This is going to happen a lot, and it's really good. Be able to see this. So what you're going to do? Yes, you're going to unindent, and so you're going to do backspace. All right, now run the code. See if it works.
You have another bracket.
Yeah, you have another random square bracket here. Okay. So the reason for that is you opened brackets, and then I think, or maybe accidentally you hit square bracket at some point, and it created 2 square brackets for you that you didn't want. So you delete those now. Now we click run. Hi, how are you? 3, 2, 1. What are you doing? Great. Kind of creepy, but that's great. Thank you, Angel. Love it. Cool. So you guys are coding now in Scratch and you're coding in Python, which is absolutely awesome. You can call yourself coders now. That is all we're going to do today. Next week we are going to be asking for input from the user, and we can then kind of, rather than saying hello anyone, we can say hello Angel. And we say, what is your name? You type in Angel, and it says hello Angel. Personalize our code. Okay? You guys did awesome. That's it. So you are good. You're free to go.
Do we give you these signed papers?
Oh yes, please do. And take your you need to take the invitation home for these two delinquents. Bye everybody online.